You are going to walk through your house tonight. Not the whole house at once, not every room in random order. 20 minutes, one sequence. Starting outside, moving in, finishing at the ceiling above your head. And when you are done, you are going to know exactly where your house is losing the fight against heat, which problem costs you the most, and which fix you should do first. That is what this video is. Not another explanation, not another problem to worry about. A tool. Something you use tonight and then put down. 4 videos in this series have covered 4 different invisible problems in your house. The ceiling boundary, the attic hatch, the duct system, the roof. Each one is real. Each one has a real fix. What most homeowners do after learning about 4 problems is nothing, because 4 problems in 4 different directions is overwhelming. So tonight, I'm going to give you the sequence, the specific order, the specific questions to answer, and the framework that connects the numbers into a decision. I am Silas Eli Yoder, 40 years inspecting old farmhouses and modern subdivisions both. The inspection sequence I'm about to walk you through is how I actually approached a house when someone called me in to figure out why it would not stay comfortable. It is not complicated. You do not need equipment. You need a flashlight, a notepad, an incense stick, or a thin piece of tissue paper, and 20 minutes. Let me start with something the old builders understood before any of this was codified into energy science. A house is a system. Every part of it affects every other part. When your attic is too hot, your ducts suffer more. When your ducts leak, your attic gets hotter. When your ceiling boundary is compromised, the whole pressure balance shifts. You cannot fix one piece in isolation and expect the house to feel different. You can, however, inspect all the pieces in one sequence and come out the other side knowing which one to address first. That is what an inspector does. Not guess, measure, observe, prioritize. Start outside. Before you go into the house, stand in your driveway or across the street and look at your roof. What color are your shingles? Dark brown, black, dark gray are the colors that absorb the most heat. Light gray, tan, light brown absorb less. If you can look up at your roof on a hot afternoon and it looks like cast iron left on a burner, that is your context for everything inside. Your attic is probably hotter than it needs to be. Walk around the house. Look at the overhangs. How far does the roof line extend past the walls? Old farmhouses had overhangs sometimes 3 feet deep on the south and west sides. That overhang put the south wall in shade during peak summer sun hours. Most modern houses have overhangs of 6 to 12 inches. Some have none. If your west wall gets direct afternoon sun from mid-afternoon on, everything in the rooms behind that wall is fighting radiant heat until well after midnight. Note it. You are not going to rebuild your roofline tonight. But knowing it is a factor changes how you interpret what you find inside. Now go inside. You are going to move through the house in this order: attic, ceiling, registers, ducts if accessible, and then the west wall. Start at the highest point and work down. This is the same order heat moves through your house, from the roof surface, through the attic, through the ceiling, into the rooms below. You are following the heat path. Find your attic hatch. If you have not already looked at it, this is the first concrete finding of your audit. Take your flashlight and look at the panel before you open it. Is there insulation on top of it? If you can push up the panel from below, there is no insulation. That hatch is raw drywall or plywood, R value of about 1, sitting between your living space and whatever your attic temperature is today. Write it down. That is a finding. Now open the hatch, carefully. Stand below and feel the air before you put your head up. In summer, on a hot afternoon, there should be a noticeable temperature difference between the attic air and the hallway air. If you open that hatch and the temperature difference is not dramatic, your attic is ventilating reasonably well. If the air that hits your face is distinctly hot, your attic is holding heat it should be releasing. Look at the hatch frame. Run your finger around the inside edge where the panel sits. Is there weather stripping? Is it compressed? Is it broken? Is there nothing at all? In most houses built between 1960 and 2000, there is nothing. Write it down. If you can safely get into the attic, take the flashlight and look at the following 4 things. First, the gable vents. Do you have them? Can you see daylight through them clearly, or are they clogged, painted over, blocked by insulation? Gable vents should pass light cleanly. Second, the soffit vents along the eaves. Are they clear? Or is insulation pushed up against them, blocking the airflow? Blocked soffit vents mean your attic cannot breathe from the bottom up, which means hot air has no path out. Third, your duct runs if you have a forced air system. Find where the ducts run through the attic. Put your hand near the joints and connections while the system is running. Feel for cold air escaping. Check for gaps, disconnected sections, or what I described in video 3, cloth duct tape that has already failed. Fourth, the underside of your roof rafters. Is there any foil visible? A reflective layer stapled to the rafters is a radiant barrier. If you have one, your attic temperature is probably lower than a comparable house without it. If you have none, and you live south of roughly the Ohio River, that is your highest return attic upgrade for next weekend. Now come back down. This took you 5 minutes if your attic is accessible, 7 or 8 if you had to climb and be careful. Write down what you found. Now stand in your hallway and look up at your ceiling. Run your hand along the ceiling surface in the hallway near the hatch, and then in the rooms farthest from the hatch, and then above a bedroom that is typically hot. This is a simple hand test. On a hot evening, say 9 o'clock, the ceiling should be roughly the same temperature as the walls. If the ceiling near the hatch is noticeably warmer than the walls, the hatch is leaking heat down. If the ceiling in a particular bedroom is warm while the walls are not, you have a localized insulation gap or a duct boot that is leaking hot attic air down through a ceiling register. This hand test is not precise. You do not need it to be precise. You need it to tell you which room is worst. The room where the ceiling feels warmest at 9 in the evening is the room your system is fighting hardest. Now go to the supply registers. These are the vents in the floor or ceiling that blow conditioned air into each room. With your system running, put your hand over each register. You should feel a steady flow of cool air from each one. If any register in a given room feels weak, barely blowing, while registers in other rooms feel strong, that branch duct is probably losing air. This is the field confirmation of what I covered in video 3. You are not diagnosing with equipment. You are identifying which rooms are underserved. Write down the weak ones. Take your incense stick or your piece of tissue. Hold it near the base of the ceiling around supply registers. If the tissue gets drawn upward toward the ceiling or toward the register edge, you have air leaking at the boot connection. Hot attic air pulling down, conditioned air pulling up. You will not catch every leak this way, but you will catch the obvious ones. The noticeable ones, the ones creating a real pressure difference, will move the tissue. Do the same thing at the hallway ceiling around the hatch frame. With the panel closed, hold the incense or tissue near the gap between the panel and the frame. If it moves, the stack effect is actively pulling air through that gap right now while you stand there. This is video 2's finding made visible in your own house in real time. This took you another 5 minutes. You are now 10 to 12 minutes into your audit. Now go to your thermostat. This is something most people look at every day and have never actually tested. Take a regular digital thermometer from the kitchen. Set it on the table near the thermostat. Let it sit for 3 minutes. Then, compare it to what the thermostat says it is reading. If there is a difference of more than 3 degrees, your thermostat is reading the wrong temperature. It is either in a location where it gets an unusual draft, or it is poorly calibrated, or it is measuring a dead air pocket that does not represent the rest of the room. A thermostat reading 3 degrees too warm will keep your air conditioner running longer than necessary. A thermostat reading 3 degrees too cool will let your house get uncomfortable before the system kicks on. Either error costs you money. Write down what you find. Now go to the west wall of your house around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, or mentally note it if you are doing this audit in the evening. The west wall in summer receives direct afternoon sun from roughly 2 or 3 in the afternoon until sunset. By evening, it has stored that heat and it is radiating it into the rooms. Put your hand flat on an interior wall surface on the west side of the house. If it is noticeably warmer than walls on the north or east side, your west rooms are absorbing and releasing heat long after the sun goes down. This is one of the findings from video 1 that is most likely to change your behavior even before any physical fix is made. Closing interior blinds or curtains on the west side in the afternoon before the sun hits that wall costs nothing and reduces heat gain measurably. You are now 15 to 17 minutes in. Take your notepad. You have 4 to 5 observations. Write them in order of severity, not in order of what you looked at. The worst finding first. A dramatic temperature difference at the attic hatch opening is worse than a slightly warm west wall. Failed cloth duct tape on a duct joint with active cold air escape is worse than a weak register in a spare bedroom. Gable vents that are fully blocked is worse than soft-to-the-touch ceiling that might just reflect normal attic warmth. Now I'm going to give you the priority framework. Because the goal is not to fix everything at once. The goal is to spend your first $100 in the right place, then your second $100, then whatever the third level costs. The Department of Energy and the Building Performance Institute have both published priority guidance for residential energy improvements. Air sealing consistently comes out at the top, not because it is the most dramatic intervention, but because it has the fastest payback and it makes every other improvement more effective. When you seal air leaks, the house pressure stabilizes. Conditioned air goes where it is supposed to go. Insulation performs at its rated value instead of being undermined by convective bypass. First priority, $0 to $100. Seal the attic hatch. Rigid foam board glued to the top, compression weather strip around the frame, 2 hook and eye latches to hold it tight. This was video 2. If your hatch is unsealed, this is your first weekend project. The Department of Energy's documentation shows this single fix can eliminate a leak equivalent to leaving a window cracked open all season. Cost under $100. Time, 2 to 3 hours. Payback in the first cooling season. Second priority, $85 to $300 depending on what you find. Accessible duct sealing. Mastic sealant on every joint, every seam, every boot connection you can reach. The materials cost under $100 for a typical house. The job takes a Saturday in the attic. Energy Star and Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory documented average duct leakage at 20 to 30% of total airflow. If your weak register check found multiple rooms with poor flow, this is your second weekend project. For inaccessible ducts showing significant leakage, get an AeroSeal quote and a before and after test. The documented savings average $600 to $850 per year. Payback is 2 to 3 years. Third priority, $60 to $120 in hot climates only, radiant barrier foil. If you live south of roughly the Ohio River, if your attic showed no existing foil, if your ducts run through the attic, this is a high return addition. Perforated foil, $30 to $60 for 500 square feet, stapled to the underside of roof rafters with the shiny side facing down into the attic airspace. Oak Ridge National Laboratory measured 21% cooling load reduction in houses with R19 insulation. If your attic showed blocked gable vents, clear those first. The foil needs airflow to work. Fourth priority, variable cost. 0 to significant depending on your situation. Attic insulation. If you got into your attic and saw insulation at or below the joist level, you are significantly under-insulated. The Department of Energy recommends R38 to R60 in most of the country. Blown-in cellulose over existing bats is cost-effective and can be done professionally for $1,200 to $2,000 for most attics, with a payback of 2 to 5 years. This is your call after the first 3 priorities are addressed, because air sealing before adding insulation is critical. Adding insulation over air leaks reduces its effective performance by 30 to 50%, according to the Building Performance Institute. And here is the priority that costs nothing this weekend: your thermostat location and calibration. If your check showed a significant discrepancy, most modern thermostats can be recalibrated in their settings. If your thermostat is on an exterior wall, near a window, or in a room that gets unusual drafts, it is reading conditions that do not represent your house. Moving a thermostat is a professional job if you have wired HVAC, but identifying the problem costs you nothing and gets you a conversation with your HVAC technician on the next maintenance visit. Let me give you an honest picture of what all of this adds up to. If your house has all 4 problems, unsealed hatch, leaky ducts, no radiant barrier in a hot climate, and under insulation, and you address them in the sequence I just described, the combined effect documented across these studies is substantial. Energy Star data on air sealing alone shows 15 to 25% savings. Lawrence Berkeley data on duct leakage shows similar ranges. Oak Ridge adds the radiant barrier component. The combined effect is not additive in a simple mathematical way because the systems interact, but the research literature consistently documents 30 to 50% reductions in cooling loads for houses that address all 4 layers in combination. That is not a miracle. That is the result of a house that was fighting itself, stopping that fight. The old farmhouses did not have this audit because they did not have these problems. They were built with thick walls and deep overhangs and cupolas and gable vents that worked. They did not have attic hatches cut and finished ceilings. They did not have forced air duct systems running through their hottest spaces. They did not have dark asphalt shingle roofs with no mitigation underneath. The modern house created all 4 of these problems simultaneously, in the span of 2 generations of construction practice, and nobody went back to tell the homeowners what had been taken away from them in the process. I have been in the attics and crawl spaces and wall cavities of hundreds of houses over 40 years. What I found in almost all of them was not unusual damage, not exceptional neglect, just the normal accumulation of problems that come from building houses that assumed the machine would handle everything. Sealed attics with no radiant management, duct systems installed without anyone checking the joint sealing, hatches cut without a second thought about insulation. These are not failures. They are design assumptions that serve the manufacturers well and the homeowner less so. Your house is probably not dramatically unusual. It probably has a moderate version of most of what I described. And a moderate version of most of what I described, addressed in the correct sequence, returns you most of the comfort and most of the money that the original design assumptions cost you. Here's what I want you to do before you close this video. Open your Notes app or find a piece of paper. Write down the 4 zones: attic hatch, duct registers, west wall, thermostat. In the next 20 minutes, or the next cool morning, or the next available evening, walk through the sequence I gave you. Check each zone. Write down what you find. You do not need to do anything about it today. You need to see it. Because here's the thing I have learned about old farmhouse inspectors and the people who live in old farmhouses both. The houses that stay in the best condition over 100 years are not necessarily the ones with the most money spent on them. They are the ones with someone paying attention to them. Someone who walked through once a year and noticed what was different. Someone who felt the ceiling in August and caught a problem early. Someone who knew where to look. 40 years of farmhouse inspections taught me that attention is a form of maintenance. And tonight's walkthrough is the first attention your house may have received in a long time. Subscribe if you want to keep learning what these old houses knew. Comment below with your audit findings, all 4 zones. Tell me your house year and your state, and tell me which finding surprised you the most. The next series I am building is about water systems and backup, how old farmhouses kept water flowing without electricity, how they stored it, and what the modern versions of these systems look like for a homeowner who wants to be less dependent on a utility. That conversation is going to start soon. Stay curious, and pay attention to your house.